Hello and welcome to the new Pickleballers Podcast, where we talk about professional pickleball players, paddles, game strategy, pretty much everything that has to do with the number one growing sport in America. I'm your host, Jeff Flowers, and this is episode number 2, Pickleball Paddles. So as you'll see, I'm still in my car. I'm not moving at the moment. This is my lunch break. I was going to do the podcast this morning, but I played this morning, and at 5:30 on my way in, it was still dark. So I just decided to do it over my lunch break. So pickleball paddles. There's a lot of different things we'll get into, but first I'll just talk a little bit about the history. My first podcast, I talked a little bit about where pickleball started, the year it started. Apparently, it's 1965. My friend Jan corrected me. So 1965, Bainbridge, Washington is when it started, and the original paddles were really ping pong paddles. And they found that those were breaking when they were hitting the wiffle balls, the heavier wiffle ball instead of a ping pong ball. So they started modifying paddles, making them a little more durable by using a plywood material. They would put a little bit of wood on the handle so that it would, be a little bit more comfortable instead of just a piece of plywood. And so that was kind of the origins of the paddle, I guess you'd say, basically plywood paddles. And as they started to progress, they got into different materials, more lightweight materials, more graphite. The core of the paddle, I would say, I don't know, probably over the last 15, 20 years, I would assume, they're using what they call a honeycomb Nomex core, which is it's a honeycomb shaped plastic basically that they use in airplane. I guess it's used in the floor of the airplane is what I read. So anyways, that's kind of the construction of the paddles now. Then they'll have a graphite face or carbon fiber face. You can still find wood paddles, aluminum paddles. So there's a lot of different varieties out there. So for a new pickleballer, what I would recommend, generally, if you go to like a Dick's, Sporting Goods, a Target, Walmart, you can probably find a pretty inexpensive set of paddles that are most likely going to be wood. It'll be a wood, thin plywood basically. They might have like an edge guard on it. I believe we bought a set of those, and I think it's a Franklin set, around $20. I mean, it's pretty inexpensive. So if you are really brand new and you are just getting started and you just want something to hit with, that would be an option. You can find some other types too where they really are a solid plywood. You'll see that they have like a wrist strap on them just because they are a little bit heavier weight for safety. If you accidentally lose the paddle out of your hand. So you can find those types pretty inexpensively. If you feel like you're going to be playing at all, I would almost recommend go the next step up to start and at least get a paddle that's going to have a core. It's going to be thicker. They generally are like 13 millimeter, 15 millimeter, kind of the different thicknesses. But you can buy like a store brand paddle. Gamma makes one called the Fusion, I believe, and it's around $40. Those paddles are just going to be a lot better to start off with. The wooden paddles are so hard. Generally, people have a hard time when they first start of hitting the ball in. Like I played last night, and I played with a new guy who had never played before. You could tell he had some racket sport experience because he was making pretty decent contact, but he was having problems with the serve. He could not hit the serve hard enough so that it wouldn't land in the kitchen. So generally, you have a problem with people, new beginners, hitting the ball too soft. With those wooden paddles, I mean, I feel like you touch it. I mean, the times I play with them, you touch it and it just goes. It just launches. So which is fine for a new beginner, but when you start getting into those exchanges at the kitchen line, with people back and forth with a wooden paddle, it's going to hit and fly out of bounds. So that's where you're going to want something that's got the core in it, that's going to be a little bit more forgiving. It's going to have a larger sweet spot in it, which just means it's a little easier to hit for shots where you hit them off the center. It'll be a little better, a little bit easier to control. So kind of that I wouldn't even say mid-range paddle now because they're way up, but a step up from just the beginner, like wood paddle, would be what I'd recommend for someone who if you think you're gonna, like it and play it a little bit more, if you're really just like, hey, I just want to try it out, you can buy, the cheap wood paddles. Also, Amazon. There are a ton of paddles on Amazon that are, decent. I would say they're probably going to have a graphite core, or I'm sorry, graphite face. They're going to have that Nomex core, edge guard. So the durability on those, they may not last as long. We had a set of Monarch paddles that the edge guard started chipping, and actually shout out to Monarch, they replaced them for us. So that was nice. But yeah, you're just those paddles are just going to be a little bit better to start with. So then, kind of that next range up, you're going to find your higher end box store paddles, and they're going to range from like $80 to like 120, 150, probably even. Like, I think you'll find some of those. Head has some. Adidas. I feel like some of those I've seen in box stores at like um, Academy Sports or Shell. I'm saying Shells, that doesn't sound right. What can I think of? I think it's Shell Sports. I don't know. That's out here in Kansas. They've got a pretty good variety, a larger variety than I would say over like Dick's Sporting Goods. So another thing you can do, check out, there's several different sites, totalpickleball.com, justpaddles.com. A lot of them have loaner programs where you pay like 10 or 15 bucks. You can get a couple of different paddles. Usually it's up to 3 paddles. You can use them for a week. So they'll ship them to you. You get to use them for a week, ship them back. It's free shipping both ways. I did that kind of early on just to try out some different paddles. And what I get? I think I got a gearbox. I got a Joola, but it was the Solaire, so kind of more square shape. And I don't think it was the carbon friction surface, which is the brand new Hyperion Ben Johns, paddle that a lot of people are using now. I think it was the CAS, if I remember correctly, carbon abrasion surface. I think it was different, but I don't remember why. And I liked it. It was nice. And then I got a gearbox. I couldn't remember which type of gearbox. My younger son Everett plays, and he really liked that one, but I didn't. I don't know. It felt weird to me just because it was solid. I guess I was kind of used to the hollow core that we've got on our Onix Z5s. My wife and I both have those right now, and so the gearbox seemed a little stiff or something. I don't know what it was. And then I got one more, and I can't think of what it was now. A third one, I don't remember. But yeah, check those sites out if you're so even if you've bought a paddle and you've started playing with it and you want to move up to the next step where you're going to spend $150 or whatever, that would be a good way to spend 10 or 15 bucks. And they'll ship them to you. You can try them out for a week and then you ship them back. So that'd be an option. Also, places like Chicken and Pickle, I'm pretty sure you can rent paddles there. So you can go in and they'll have some different paddles. And I'm not sure what the cost is on that. I've just heard that. The few times I've played at Chicken and Pickle, it's been for events or tournaments. So I've never gone where it's like open play or where you're renting court time. And I have my own paddle, so I did not need to rent a paddle. And then you kind of get into the high end. And to me, I would say anything that's like pushing $200 and up are going to be your high end paddles. And a lot of the brands have, I think Adidas even has like a $199 paddle. There's so Joola, the Ben Johns, the Hyperion, those Selkirk for sure has got paddles that are like 175 up to 250. The new Vanguard Air, that's kind of the new one. And then you get into like the super high end ones, I guess you'd say, the Selkirk Labs. And I don't know if there's any others. I've not seen any others in the $300 range. So the Selkirk Labs, and it's a neat concept. So they're basically you join the Selkirk Labs. I sent an email in, and I was approved, so I could buy a Selkirk Labs paddle if I wanted to. To me, it seems like everybody is probably approved. It sounds like a good marketing ploy. I don't know that for sure. If anyone knows, if anyone's tried to get a Selkirk Labs membership and didn't get it, like got denied, and you want a Selkirk Labs paddle, hit me up. I'll buy it and ship it to you. I guess you can do that. I don't know why you couldn't. But anyways, those are $333. So they have a Labs 1, Labs 2, Labs 3 are the three iterations. And they say you get a $77 discount, I believe is what it is, if you provide research feedback. So if you get the paddle, you use it, and then you provide some feedback to them, you'll get a $77 credit for Selkirk. I would assume you could use that on other Selkirk gear. I don't know if that's only for another Selkirk Labs paddle, or if you could use it elsewhere for a t-shirt, hat, hoodie. I don't know. But the Labs paddles are, they're supposed to be very high end, very research heavy. So I get that price, that 333 price. It includes I think it's like a leather case and a card, and so it's very, very nice, very high end, very Gucci. But I haven't seen any other ones. I feel like there's a Pro XR that's 250. The Ben Johns Hyperion, I believe that's 220, and I've been looking at that one. I actually have that on order now from Total Pickleball. Yeah, from Total Pickleball to test out. And I'm just waiting for some other ones in my order to come in. I was going to try out, I think I was going to try out a Diadem Warrior. I've heard a lot of good things about those. And then I think the other one was an Omega, maybe. I don't remember. I had a third one coming as well to try out, and I'm still waiting on those. But um, I mean, I've seen videos where people say, getting better at pickleball is not, buying a new paddle is not going to help you get better. Um, I'm sure there's truth to that. People, if you, whatever product makes you feel more comfortable, you're going to play better if you have confidence in the product. So I think you just kind of have to try things out. I mean, I feel like my Onix Z5 has been fine, but I haven't played with a ton of other paddles. I will kind of mention, so we've played a lot of different places, indoor, outdoor, and you do kind of get people have some preconceived notions based on your paddle. So if you have a cheaper, and mine, I mean, I've heard a comment of, oh, those are a bunch of beginners because they've seen my paddle. So if you don't have a $100 plus paddle, there are places where you can go to play that people may kind of turn their nose up a little at you. That doesn't bother me. I say get out on the court and show them what you got. So that's just something to be aware of. Don't go buying a paddle thinking it's going to give you any clout or seniority in the stack or anything like that. But I have firsthand experienced a little bit of that where, people are a little snooty about not wanting to play with beginners, and they think they can tell that by your paddle. I honestly I told my wife I kind of like having a lower end paddle because then people aren't maybe going to expect as much. And then I like to go out there and do well. And then you kind of, you put your money where your mouth is. I guess that may be the right kind of expression for that. But so that's kind of a rundown of, from the cheap paddles to the high end ones. Um, I really, I'm sure there are people out there who have the funds or the means to buy a bunch of paddles, and they just own them all and try them all. And, I'm relatively new. I've been playing less than a year. So I'm sure we'll get there. I mean, we honestly right now have, I think we have 9 paddles. So my wife and I both have Onix paddles. My son, we did buy him a Gamma. I can't think of what the name of his is. It was a a box store. We bought it at Dick's Sporting Goods. I think it was around $80 or $90, and he likes it. That's the one that he always plays with. I mean, I think he kind of picked it just because he liked the color scheme. It's kind of red, white, and blue, and looked kind of cool. So, but that's the one he's using. And then we've got, we did buy, or Monarch replaced our set that had some chipping on the edge. So we've got a set of Monarchs. So those are, decent paddles for beginner players that we play with, or anybody. And then we've got the cheap set of like Franklin, like $20, get them from Target paddles. And then we recently, my wife and I just played in a work function little tournament, and it was fun, but it was 7 teams. And I think really only one team had ever actually played pickleball. The other 5 teams were all beginners. So, and I kind of thought it might be that case. So we did end up winning. And our prize was, I think they were from Pickleball Central, like old school wooden paddles. I mean, it looked like clubs you could beat somebody to death with, but they got the straps on them and stuff. But again, some good paddles for beginners or kids or whatever if you don't want them, because the paddles come in contact with the ground sometimes and they can get scuffed up and whatnot. I have seen one guy, I think we were playing at a church several months ago, a regular place, but a guy that I know had a paddle break, and it broke kind of right at the throat. So you have the handle, and then where it goes up, they kind of call that area the throat, and it broke right there, and it was just like wobbly. And that was the only time I've seen that. I've talked to other players who have broke paddles, but we have not had that issue yet. I try to be pretty reserved when it comes to showing my displeasure in my game and not hitting the net or hitting my own body, because you see people do that, smack themselves in the butt or the thigh or whatever, and that just seems like unnecessary wear and tear on a paddle that's meant to hit a soft wiffle ball. So yeah, I try not to do that. It happens on occasion, but yeah, there's a rundown on paddles. If you got any questions, feel free to hit me up in the comments. If you've got any paddles you think I should try, you think I'd like, let me know what you think. I'm open to suggestions. Right now I'm still just playing with the Onix, but I'm kind of looking to upgrade to maybe a kind of a high mid-level paddle at some point. So I'll be checking some out. So thanks so much for watching. Feel free to check out New Pickleballers on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. So we do content on different things, whether it's product reviews or just fun videos, training type things, drills. I've got my son and my wife who are playing with me, so I like to do videos with them. Just really trying to help new players kind of figure things out as they're getting started, to be a good resource for new players to check things out. And you can go from 0 to 100 really quick, because it's fun, it's addicting, and you're relatively inexpensive to play. Once you get some equipment, you can find a lot of places to play for free. And so be careful, it'll suck you in. So thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy the podcast. Thanks. Bye.